Pescoço.
Then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.
Jacobs is on his way. The Raiders are going to win this game.
Pescoço.
Then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.
Yo, what is good, Raider Nation? It's your boy Raider Alex back with yet another video for you guys. Another live stream. It's been a while. I just want to jump on here real quick. And if you haven't done so, I mean, anybody that pops in, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Anybody that's new to the channel, and then yeah, man, we're just wanted to talk about. It's been pretty slow when it comes to the Raiders. I mean, the last few weeks or so. I mean, ever since free agency came to a close, there hasn't been a whole lot of transactions. Not really anything going on the past couple weeks. It's been pretty slow on that front. Hopefully things start to pick up here soon, and more than likely they should. It's pretty crazy. I mean, the NFL draft is right around the corner, less than 2 weeks away. Not this Thursday, but the next Thursday after that will be the first round. And, the NFL draft will be here. Then, after that we'll be, I'm sure talking about all the different prospects we selected. I know I'm going to be making a lot of content on whatever prospects we end up selecting. And, just definitely a very exciting time. The NFL draft is definitely the most exciting part of the entire offseason for me. Free agency is cool. I mean, in this free agency period, we did land a big fish in Christian Wilkins. So that was cool. But, to me, nothing like the draft, man. Finding good prospects, especially like in the later rounds, getting some hidden gems, things of that nature. And, regardless, the NFL draft, too, is the way you look at it is the draft is a big, important time for any franchise. You got to, hit on the draft. Really, the draft, if you can hit on that, that's where good teams end up having their success. That's the most sustainable way to essentially, build a franchise for the future. So, yeah. But, we're going to wait for a little bit more people to pop in here. If you haven't done so, like I said, make sure to hit the like button, help us get in the algorithm. But yeah, we already got some people in the building, man. And then if you make sure to check in the chat as well, let me know where you're coming from. It says, salute nation, salute Alex. It's been a while. Let's get it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got Hunter Ellis. Salute, fam. Hey, salute to you, man. Thank you for pulling up. Herminia, hi, Alex. Hey, thank you for pulling up as well. But yeah, mainly I wanted to talk about the NFL draft here. I mean, the draft, it's going to be an important draft too, because this is the first draft under Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco. So it's definitely, they got to get their, they got to get the right foot in the door. They got to start off strong. And, it's going to be crucial for them to make some type of moves. First draft for Antonio Pierce as an official head coach. And this will be the first draft for Tom Telesco under the silver and black. Even though he has a long track record with the Chargers, which is nice. He knows how the process goes in the draft. So hopefully he can do good for us. Really, when we look at his track record with the Chargers, overall, I would say that he he did pretty well in the first rounds. You know, he did pretty strong early in the draft. The one knock you can kind of give him is that in the later rounds, he didn't necessarily get great players. But, you know, ultimately, we'll see what ends up happening with him. And, man, if he can just hit in those first couple rounds, especially this year, I mean, the first round, we may target a quarterback. If you can just hit on that quarterback this year, we can get a potential franchise quarterback moving forward, then that could really be a game changer for this team. So, yeah, when it comes to the draft, I mean, the way I'm looking at this draft is the biggest team needs that we have right now is, one, the quarterback position. I also think basically the right side of the offensive line we should address as well. So offensive tackle, you know, right tackle, right guard. When it comes to other positions as well, I mean, cornerback, we could use another corner. We could use another linebacker as well, even though, you know, this year in the draft, the linebacker position isn't the best. I mean, it's not a whole lot. It's not deep when it comes to the linebacker group, but, you know, we can definitely maybe get somebody later on in that department. And, yeah, really when it comes to the draft, that's the way I'm kind of looking at it. And when it comes to the first round, I mean, I'm going to talk about that. I definitely want to get your guys, you know, take on what you want us to do come draft night, especially in the first round, because, you know, it seems like there's typically what I've seen, there's two different routes that people want to go. Either, you know, half of you guys probably want to get a quarterback, the other half of you maybe want to trade back and get an offensive tackle. So whatever the team needs, I definitely want to get your input on that. I'll be sharing my ideal scenarios of what we do come draft night in the first round. But, you know, like I said, definitely let me know what you guys think. We got Roy Pulido, Raider Nation. Yes, sir, man. Thank you for pulling up. Hey, we got King in the building. You forgot King. Hey, no, I didn't, man. Here you are. Hey, man, thanks for pulling up as well. But yeah, like I said, definitely let me know what you guys think. I want to know if you guys are going more of the quarterback route. If you want a quarterback, let me know which quarterback you want. So we got William Noriega says, I feel like we need somebody who has top dog skills like Jaden Daniels. Okay, I definitely hear you on that. We got Raider Nation Drew says quarterback. Okay, quarterback. Got two people thinking that we should select a quarterback early on. Hunter Ellis, either quarterback or O-line in the first. Yeah, that's the way I kind of see it as well. I mean, when it comes to, you know, the first round, there's only a couple of different ways you can go. I think you can either go quarterback, you can go offensive tackle. I mean, ideally, if Talisi Fuaga out of Oregon State's there, he's my favorite right tackle in the draft. You know, you can maybe go cornerback as well. Like if you wanted to draft a Terrion Arnold or a Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo. If you want to go cornerback, you can. I mean, I've looked at their tape. They look pretty solid. They look pretty good. The only knock I would say is like, the thing is the cornerback position is a pretty hard position, especially for rookies coming in, especially, you know, the NFL keeps changing rules, making it harder for defenses to succeed and thrive. And, you know, cornerback, I mean, in the first round, usually you get selected high. I mean, the Raiders have the 13th overall pick. And typically, I mean, you get a corner in the first round, you're typically expecting that he'll make a big impact year one. So it's definitely hard in that sense. And don't get me wrong, they're good prospects and everything like that. But if I'm selecting a corner in the first round, ideally I want him to be that next guy. I want him to be like a lockdown, a shutdown number one corner. I want him to be like the next Darrelle Revis. I want him to be like a Patrick Surtain. You know, I want him to be a lockdown guy. And I don't necessarily know if these guys are a lockdown in that sense. I mean, I think they'll be really good at the next level, but, you know, I don't know if they'll be a game changer in that sense. And like I said, it's kind of hard for cornerbacks coming in early on. There's a lot of pressure put onto them. So, and then also, I mean, I look at it this year in the draft, there are some cornerbacks I do really like, and you can get them later on. I mean, I've been doing a bunch of mock drafts, and you can get them pretty late, like in the 7th, 6th round, even though, like, you know, mock drafts is not the ideal way to analyze how the draft board is going to fall come draft night. But either way, there's a lot of corners that I think you can easily get them on day 3, fourth, fifth round or so, and they got a lot of upside. They could be potential starters for us. So that's the way I kind of look at it. But yeah, we got Raider Nation. Drew says JD as well. Okay. Yeah, Jaden. I mean, I know a lot of you guys want Jaden Daniels. I mean, let's just see what ultimately ends up happening. There's been a lot of rumors and speculations on, if the Raiders are going to be able to trade up for Jaden Daniels. I mean, we'll ultimately see, because it is going to cost a lot. I will say that, but I think there usually where there's smoke, there is fire. So I really do think that the Raiders are going to try to get up there. I think Antonio Pierce really wants Jaden Daniels. Tom Telesco, you could argue, whether or not he's going to be that aggressive in his first year in the draft. It's hard to say for sure. But one thing, I mean, owner Mark Davis came out and said that he gave Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco, our general manager, his full blessing to, do whatever they have to do to move up into the, do whatever they have to do to get a quarterback, as long as it's reasonable. So, like I said, I think if there's a legit chance for them to do it, they'll try to do it. But there's a lot of different factors that come into play for that. Let's not trade up our future. Decisive moment for Antonio Pierce's career. We are just starting. Okay. I mean, yeah. Like I said, Jaden Daniels is going to cost a lot. I mean, how much is hard to know exactly how much. If I had to assume, let's just say in a best case scenario, the draft board falls. Caleb Williams goes 1, Drake May goes 2. And then at 3, you trade up with New England. I would say at the bare minimum to trade up there, you would have to, obviously, we're going to swap picks for this year in the first round. You'd probably have to give up another valuable pick this year, maybe like a 3rd rounder. And then more than likely, you're going to have to give up like a 2025, 2026, a 1st and 2nd round. Probably something along those lines is probably, how much you would have to spend to give up for Jaden Daniels. And, I don't know, some of you guys may think it's too much, but me personally, I mean, when it comes to the 1st round, ideally, my dream scenario, if I had it my way, I would want us to trade up for Jaden Daniels, because, I just watch his film, man. I just, watching him play, he's so dynamic. He is so electrifying. Not only is he just like he's the best athlete at the quarterback position this year in the draft, but not only that, just his athleticism is off the charts. I mean, he's like borderline near like what Lamar Jackson is when it comes to his athleticism, his ability to move, his speed, his ability to make people miss, and just make big plays in general. I mean, like Antonio Pierce kind of said, I mean, he can run, and that's the perfect way to put it, man, because this guy, I mean, if you don't quarterback spy a guy like Jaden Daniels, I mean, not only can he get you first downs, he can get you big yards. He can get you big chunk plays. He can get you touchdowns. So yeah. Raider Nation Drew says, if not Jaden Daniels, then go out and get Travis. Yeah, Jordan Travis. I mean, I will say Jordan Travis, if we can't get any like the 1st round quarterbacks, whether it be Jaden Daniels, whether it be, Michael Penix Jr., you can't get Bo Nix, even though like I'm gonna be pretty honest, I'm not huge on Bo Nix. I'm not a huge fan of his, but if we have to go that route, like in the later rounds, 3rd round, somewhere in there, I would definitely consider Jordan Travis. I mean, he could be like a slept on, under the radar talent at the quarterback position. I mean, one thing you got to look into with him as well is, this year he had the Florida State at 11-0. Like they had a good chance of making the college football playoffs, and if they would have done that, if he would have took them, and then maybe they could have made the national championship, whatever, right? Point is, I mean, if he would have not got hurt, very likely he would have been like a 1st round talent at the quarterback position. So, he's definitely talented as well. I really like the way he moves, does a good job keeping his eyes down the field. So that's definitely one option for us. If we can't get a quarterback in the 1st round, that's a guy I would definitely look into. I definitely like him more than like Spencer Rattler. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan on Spencer Rattler as well either. I don't know. Sometimes you just watch guys on tape and nothing really flashes off of you. That's kind of my sense with Spencer Rattler. It seems like he has the talent, like all the talent in the world, to maybe be a good quarterback, but he's inconsistent. He came in overweight to the combine. I don't know. I don't get a good feeling with Spencer Rattler, but that's just my take on that. Hunter Ellis says, I agree on cornerback 4th round and beyond. Yeah, I definitely agree, man. I mean, Terrion Arnold, he's nice, but you can get a lot of value at the cornerback position on day 3, and I think that's one route we should definitely go. I mean, let me know if you guys have any cornerbacks that you like on day 3 that we could snag. A couple corners I was looking at that I really enjoyed watching was cornerback out of Tennessee. I think it's Kamal Haddon. I might be mispronouncing the name, but also cornerback, another name that I might be mispronouncing, but DeCamerion Robertson out of Mississippi State. Yo, those 2 guys, they look like dogs. And like I said, you can get them on day 3, 4th, 5th round, and I'd be totally okay with that, man. I would totally be okay with that. So, you at cornerback, you can definitely get some value later on. Raider Nation Drew says, if we're gonna gamble quarterback, it better be low pick. Top picks are for sure things. I mean, yeah, but at the same time, I mean, there's no such thing as a for sure thing in the draft. The one thing I will say though is, like, if we trade up for Jayden Daniels, I have a really good feeling that it would turn out well for us. Now, obviously, do I know that for sure? No, nobody does. Not even Antonio Pierce, not even Tom Telesco. That's the beauty of the draft, right? And that's what makes it so interesting. But if we did trade for Jayden Daniels, I think we got a lot of things going our way that could really help him flourish and potentially become a star. And that's, if we could do that, that would really change the trajectory of this franchise. It could put us in a great position to compete moving forward. And I mean, let's talk about it. Some of the things I really think could help him out moving forward if we drafted a guy like Jayden Daniels is, I mean, one thing that's really important about when you draft any quarterback, whether that be Caleb, Jayden, Drake May, whoever, they have to go to a situation where the coach, where the general manager, truly believe in him. You have to go into a right situation in that stance. We've seen it a lot in the past where, like, for example, Jamarcus Russell, when we drafted him, it didn't turn out well, but part of that was because our owner Al Davis, he wanted Jamarcus Russell, but then our coach, he didn't want him. So right there, that's an issue. That's a conflict. But we know here that Antonio Pierce wants Jayden Daniels. He believes in him. He knows what type of talent it is. So I mean, that's a big part of it, man. You go into a place that truly believes in you. You go, as a rookie, you go into a franchise where you can feel comfortable in that sense. That's one good thing that would be going our way. The second thing is, I think the Raiders roster right now, I mean, we have a lot of good things to build off of, right? The defense last year took a huge step forward. Under Antonio Pierce, I think we were ranked number 1 in points per game. So, and not only that, I mean, we got Christian Wilkins at the defensive tackle position. So, I think moving forward next year, I mean, I have some high expectations for this defense, but at the bare minimum, we can say this defense is very solid. And, I definitely think that, you bring in an electrifying talent like Jayden Daniels, you get him a solid defense, a coach that believes in him, and then we do have some weapons on the offensive side of the football. You got a Devontae Adams, that's going to help the development of any rookie quarterback. I mean, if there's one thing that Jayden Daniels showed at LSU, with him having talented weapons like Malik Neighbors and everything, he was able to exploit that, man. He was able to get the ball into his playmaker's hands. He has a good enough arm on the deep throws. His accuracy is really good as well. And like I said, he just seems like a playmaker to me in general. So, like I said, no such thing as a first sure thing when it comes to, the draft. But yo, I have a good feeling it would turn out well for us if we did that. We got Thump in the building. A quarterback would be nice, but if not, let's strengthen up our offensive line. Yeah, I definitely agree with that stance. Like when it comes to the first round, ideally I want quarterback would be my number one priority. If we can't get cornerback, then I think you get an offensive tackle. If you can shore up that right tackle, that would be a win in my books. And when it comes to the offensive tackles, we could potentially select. I mean, hopefully, like I said, hopefully Talisi Fuaga out of Oregon State is there, man. Best run blocker in the whole draft. Pretty good in pass protection as well. Very athletic. So he should fit the zone blocking scheme we got here. And yeah, he's definitely my favorite guy. I mean, if we can't get him, maybe like a JC Latham. You can also look into potentially trading back. So yeah. We got Hunter Ellis saying, I like Dwight McLaughlin out of Arkansas. He's nice. Okay, yeah, I haven't watched his film. I'll definitely have to check him out. But I'd rather have the best cornerback or offensive line than the 8th best quarterback in the first round. But me personally, I don't think we're going to select the 8th best quarterback in the first round. I mean, to me, if you're selecting a quarterback in the first round, you're either trading up for whether that be Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May. You either trade up for one of those top prospects, or you get Michael Penix Jr., or you get Bo Nix. Now, me personally, Bo Nix, I'm not a huge fan of him, but he may turn out. I mean, he is talented. He has good athleticism. He can throw on the move. He's very accurate. It seems like when the deep ball, he has the arm strength, but he hasn't, been able to complete deep passes. And yeah, he just ran in Oregon. He ran under an offensive system that I don't think is really going to translate well to the NFL. So, and he's been in college for a long time, and there's still things like that, like the deep ball. He's still a big question mark in his game. So, but yeah, I don't think we're gonna reach like that bad when it comes to a quarterback in the first round. But yeah, man, that's my ideal when it comes to the first round. At least my ideal scenario. If we can get Jaden Daniels, and if you can't get Jaden Daniels, then I think the next best alternative would be Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix Jr. at 13 would be an ideal circumstance for me. You don't have to trade up any draft capital. You don't have to jeopardize the future. And then you get a guy that has, great arm talent. He can throw the ball deep. I mean, he consistently showed that he can throw the ball outside the numbers, get the ball into playmakers' hands. And yeah, I mean, you could argue he's the best deep ball thrower in the draft. Watching his film too, I mean, the ball placement was very good on those deep throws. I mean, he did have good weapons in Washington with Romeo Odunze, but part of that too was he's throwing. I like the way he throws the deep ball. He has mobility. He's athletic enough to move in the pocket. He can scramble for first downs. And yeah, I mean I think that would be the ideal scenario. You don't have to give any draft capital, and you may have your future franchise quarterback. But of course, the biggest red flag, I guess you could say, with Penix is his injury history. I understand that, but at the same time, like I said, if you draft him at 13, that's not the biggest risk in the world, man. That's essentially a mid-round pick for the most important quarterback, the most important position in the whole league, the quarterback position. That's a gamble I'm willing to take 10 times out of 10. And the good thing is, I mean, he's stayed healthy the last 2 seasons. And one thing that Telesco did say when he's looking at the quarterback position, when he's evaluating it, but one thing he did say is that he's looking for a leader. He's looking for somebody that's strong mentally. And I think Michael Penix Jr. fits those 2 categories, man. I think he's very resilient. You don't come back from, all those, season-ending injuries and not be mentally strong, right? For a lot of people, I mean, he had 4 different season-ending injuries. I mean, for a lot of players, they might have just said, you know what, going pro is just not for me. They might have just, had the perfect excuse to be like, you know what? I didn't make it to the league because of the injuries, but no, I mean, Penix just he kept being persistent and consistent with his dream, and yeah, he ultimately went to Washington, had a lot of success, and now very likely is going to be a first round quarterback. So yeah, Penix would be another guy I would really like. But let me know what you guys think about Michael Penix Jr. Is that a guy you would want us to draft? Also, I mean, let me know. Do you guys think he'll be available at 13, or do you think we're gonna have to trade up for him as well? And then also too, I mean, anybody that's new to the channel as well, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I mean, if you haven't done so. But yeah, man, it definitely helps the channel, helps us get into the algorithm, and yeah, man, it's always just looking to get more people. That way we can interact with more Raiders fans moving forward. A salute to Florida boy in the building, man. Thank you for pulling up. He says, I would not be mad if we stick with Aiden O'Connell for the year, but I definitely want a quarterback. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. Like, I'm not necessarily saying I'm completely out on Aiden O'Connell because he did show some good things, and then he didn't even get a full season. It wasn't the most ideal situation, right? You come in with Josh McDaniels, and then he gets fired mid-season. We're still running the Josh McDaniels playbook. And yeah, I mean, maybe under Luke Getsy, he might be able to play better. But, the thing is with Aiden O'Connell is I'm not willing to put all my eggs in one basket with him. I mean, statistically, I mean, you look at it, the vast majority of quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls are first-round talents. So even then, I mean, we're kind of behind the 8 ball with a guy like Aiden O'Connell. I mean, sure, every now and then there's the Tom Brady's of the world, but I mean, even then, that's Tom Brady. That's a huge outlier. That's not normal. What he did, it's not. You shouldn't really expect to draft somebody that late, and then for him to be a multiple, Super Bowl champion, and let alone for him to be, arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. So. But yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily saying I'm out on Aiden O'Connell. I mean, ideally for me, if Aiden O'Connell could be the guy, that would be the most ideal situation for me. I mean, we don't have to, we have the guy in the building, but I think at the very least, you have to bring somebody in the building to kind of like light a fire under his belly and, get some real competition in the building. That way he knows, he has to perform, or else he's just going to be a backup, a career backup for us. So, and then, we did get Gardner Minshew, but, let's be honest. Minshew's been a backup his whole career. That's really what I see him. I see him as a high-end backup. And if he has to start for you, I mean, he's a decent starter, but, by no means do I see him being the future for us moving forward. So yeah, I mean, Aiden O'Connell, I would still want us to get a first-round quarterback. And if Aiden O'Connell can prove us wrong and show he's the guy, then, it is what it is. We got a good situation. That's a good problem to have, but yeah. Raider Nation Drew says if he's there, Denver might grab him before us. You talking about Penix or yeah, I'm pretty sure you're talking about Michael Penix. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it seems like Denver has been tied to Bo Nix for a while, but obviously we don't know exactly what Sean Payton and the Broncos will end up doing. I mean, Bo Nix seems like more of a fit. He's an accurate quarterback. Kind of like to run a lot of quick underneath stuff. Kind of similar to what like Drew Brees did. So, but you never know. I mean, they might select Penix. There may be a situation where you have to trade up for Michael Penix Jr. Maybe you have to move up to 10 with the New York Jets, or number 9. I think number 9 is in Atlanta Falcons, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, there may be a chance where we have to move up a couple spots for Michael Penix Jr. But even then, I mean, it's a lot different moving up, 3-4 spots than moving up into the top 3. It shouldn't cost a whole lot of draft capital to do that, but something to definitely keep into mind. Like I said, ideally if Penix is there at 13, but if not, I mean, if a lot of quarterbacks go off the board, I mean, if JJ McCarthy, if he goes in the top 5, then that's a scenario where more than likely we probably will have to trade up at least a couple spots to secure Penix Jr. But yeah. Florida Boy says, I think people that are cool with Zamir getting the starting job should be cool with Penix injury. Zamir had 2 ACL tears. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I mean, one thing I will say is I mean with like the advancement in technology and things of that nature, I mean tearing your ACL is not the same it used to be like 20, 30 years ago, right? I mean that almost used to be like a career ending injury sort of thing, um you make a good point. I mean Zamir White, I mean he plays a much more physically demanding position than Penix. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm totally fine with that, man. I mean, ideally, you don't really want Penix to ever get hit either, as well. I mean, you're gonna have to address the offensive line as well. And he's a quarterback that can move, but he's very smart when he's on the move. He's gonna get out of bounds. He's gonna slide when necessary. So yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. Like obviously, it still is a risk because he may end up tearing his ACL in the future, and that might be the straw the straw that broke the camel's back, per se. But like I said, for essentially like a mid-round pick, which the 13th overall pick, is definitely a gamble I'm willing to. It's definitely a risk I'm willing to take. We got Mahad Alafafi, man. Sorry if I messed up your name. I'm terrible with names, but hey, salute to you, man. Thank you for pulling up to the show. He says, good draft. We got Michael Penix Jr. at 13. At 44, we got linebacker Peyton Willis. 77, we got Chris Abraham Drains. I don't know who that is. Number 4, Braylon Allen. Okay. 148, Javon Baker. I think that's the wide receiver. 208, Logan Lee. At 223, Gabriel Murphy. Okay, there's a couple of players I'm not familiar with there that you mentioned, but it's kind of close to a lot of mock drafts I've been doing. Usually I've taken Penix Jr. in the first. The second, you can maybe go linebacker. Ideally, I'm looking for a tackle, though, especially if I get Michael Penix Jr. If I get him, I'm definitely looking for a right tackle because, the blind spot for a left-handed quarterback is that right-hand side. So, ideally, I'll get a look for a right tackle in the second round. One guy I'd be really interested in is the right tackle he actually played with at the University of Washington, and that is right tackle Roger Rosengarten. Yeah, I think that's how you say his name. Like I said, I'm pretty bad with a lot of these guys' names, but that's a guy I would definitely look into in the second round. So we got Raider Nation Drew. Do you think we do any draft day trades? Honestly, more than likely, I think we will. Now, will it be trading up or trading down? Like I said, I think they're going to try everything they can to move up into the draft. They're going to try everything they can to move up for Jayden Daniels. Now, will they do that or not? It's hard to say. It may just cost way too much where Telesco's like, no, I'm not willing to do that. It may be a situation, too, where, it takes two to tango when it comes to making a trade. If Washington or the Patriots don't want to trade out of that, then there's nothing you could really do in that sense. But yeah, I think we're gonna try everything in our power to trade up. I think they want Jayden Daniels. There's also a scenario where, excuse me. There's also a scenario where maybe they trade up for like a Penix Jr. or something like that. Maybe move up a couple spots. That's really the only two scenarios I see when it comes to trading up. And then, I think another scenario is maybe all the quarterbacks go off the board. Teams start to panic. There's a big run on quarterbacks in the top 10. The Raiders aren't able to get in the mix. If that happens, I mean, there's going to be a lot of good talent, that ends up falling down the draft board. And if that happens, I mean, I think more than likely that'd be a good position for the Raiders to kind of, take calls. I mean, there's going to be a lot of talented players. And then maybe they can trade back like a couple spots. So, yeah, that's kind of what I see, that will unfold come draft night. I think on draft night, there's going to be a lot of activity. I think teams are going to be moving up and down the board. And I think more than likely the Raiders will be one of those teams. So, that's definitely one reason why I'm super excited about the draft this year. But But yeah, that's my take on that. Let me know what you guys think though. We got Florida Boy says Penix deep accuracy with Tucker sounds like a highlight reel. Yo, yeah, that's one thing I didn't even think about, bro. We got a guy like Trey Tucker that's got speed, and really Trey Tucker to me is a player that needs to be on the field as much as possible because he's really the only guy that gives us like a legit deep ball threat in that sense. I mean, he can help us stretch the field, and just a lot of times, man, you have a speedster like that. I mean, you're gonna have to force the opposing defense to respect that. Have a safety over the top just in case. And obviously, if you don't do that, and then you give him a guy like that, that type of space, you obviously take that shot. And like I said, you can argue Penix is the best when it comes to those deep passes, man. And that would be something really good to see. And I'm hoping Trey Tucker has a big year too. I'm hoping he can get more explosive plays out of him and just use him as that deep vertical threat. He's got the speed, and I'm very excited about Trey Tucker moving forward. So, yeah, good point, man. Jeff says sounds solid. Okay. A salute to young defensive back 94, or at least I think that DB 94. A salute to you, man. If you haven't done some, subscribe to the channel. He says trade back and grab a corner around pick 18 and 20. Okay, yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I mean, if you trade back, ideally you don't trade back too far, and at that point just take best player available. At 18 to 20, more than likely the top tackles will be gone. So cornerback may be a position you look at, but I don't know. I think cornerback, and let me know what you think. But I think corner is a position where we can get a lot of good value on day 3, and it's not really a position I'm prioritizing in the first round, to be honest with you. Like I said, I'm prioritizing quarterback and offensive tackle in the first round. Ideally, for me, if we can walk out of that, if we can walk out of day 3 with one of those two positions, checked off the list, then I'd be really happy. And also to another scenario I haven't really thought about either is, I mean, maybe the Raiders end up trading, in the late, in the back half of the first round, right? Maybe we stay put at 13 or whatever, and then maybe they trade up, especially if some good talented players end up falling down the draft board. That could also be another scenario. So something to take into consideration as well. We'll see what Tom Telesco ends up doing. I mean, hopefully he's aggressive. I mean, Tom Telesco, the one thing I will say is with the Chargers, he did seem a lot of times like he's a little bit aggressive, and I do kind of like that because I think the Raiders are kind of in a spot where, we're not a bad enough football team to be in the top 3, top 5, moving forward, but we're also kind of in the spot where we're trying to get into playoff contention, right? We're trying to become a legit Super Bowl contender. And we've struggled in that sense. So right now we're kind of in that middle ground where that I guess you could kind of call it no man's land. So yeah. We got Robert Pena. A salute to you, man. Loyal day 1 subscriber. He says Raiders. Yes sir. Hey man, thank you for pulling up. Hey, salute to El Capitan Rafucho 199 super chat. Hey man, thank you, man. Salute Raf in the building. Raider Nation for life, man. Hey man, thank you for pulling up. Appreciate you, man, and thank you for the chat. We got Florida Boys saying, I wonder what the Cardinals want for that pick. Yeah, I mean, that's another, man, if Jen Daniels could fall to number 4, that would be an even more ideal situation, which, hey, man, that could be a legit possibility. I mean, what's crazy to me is a guy like J.J. McCarthy. I mean, overall, I do like J.J. McCarthy. When I watched this film a couple months back, he's a good prospect, but he's been getting a whole lot of hype, man. I did not expect that. A lot of people are even reporting things. Some people are even saying that they think he may be a top 3 pick, which is, to me, that's kind of crazy. I mean, I don't like him that much. But yo, a perfect scenario could be Caleb goes 1, Drake May goes 2, number 3 JJ McCarthy, and then maybe the Cardinals aren't necessarily looking for a quarterback, so that could be a good scenario for them. The one thing though, I mean, still moving back from 14 to 13 is still ideally for them. I think you're still gonna have to give up a lot, unless you can maybe get like a 3-team trade sort of scenario, because more than likely it seems like Arizona's gonna go wide receiver. Seems like more than likely they're gonna try to target Marvin Harrison Jr. And the thing is, I mean, if they trade back to 13, they're not gonna get him. So ideally for them, they probably only want to trade back a couple of different spots. That way it puts them in a good position to still either grab Marvin Harrison Jr. or Romeo Odunze, things of that nature. So, I think you still have to give up a lot, but every single pick you go down, the price gets a little less expensive. But that's one thing to take into scenario is, if JJ McCarthy goes in the top 3, that could bode really well for the Raiders if they want to get Jaden Daniels. So, we'll ultimately end up seeing. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen, but you never really know, man. And every year there's everybody thinks there's certain players that aren't going to fall, and every year there's always one player that ends up falling for whatever reason. So. Raider Nation Drew says, I think Jack is going to be even better in year 2 of Paul Gunther's system. Yeah, Jack Jones. Yeah, I mean, I think so too. That's why I'm saying, like, cornerback, we could use another corner, but I'm also not like stressing it. I'm not really prioritizing it in that sense. And also too, man, we still got Jacorian Bennett, man. I mean, he started off strong last season. Towards the end of the season, he got benched. We didn't see him a whole lot out there on the field, but I'm still not giving up on Jacorian Bennett. He still has a lot of good traits. He's got good ball skills. Like I said, cornerback is definitely one of the hardest positions in my opinion. So, give the guy some time. I think he can really develop into his own, and that's ideally why, maybe we can get another corner in the day 3, but I'm not really stressing it in that sense. And, Jack Jones, I definitely think he could take it to another level next season, especially too with the defensive line. If we can continue the dominance we have, it's gonna make any defensive back look that much better. We got Raider Nation Drew saying, we just need a solid cornerback 2, could even be on the team. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, man, you don't necessarily always need a lockdown, shutdown corner. If you can just have 2 solid corners, a lot of times, and honestly, if anything, at the cornerback position, I'd rather have, good depth than just necessarily having, the best corner in the league, but you don't have good depth, right? You can... because then in that sense, I mean, you can always scheme up a way to get people open, and then if that corner ever gets hurt, you're kind of screwed. So yeah, man. I mean, if we can imagine if like Jacorian Bennett could come into his own, we got Jack Jones, we get a cornerback in the 4th, 5th round, he can contribute. I think we'll be fine at cornerback. We also got Nate Hobbs, who's one a very good slot cornerback for us. So yeah, good point. Hunter Ellis says, Odunze should be available at 13. You really think so? I mean, it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world, I mean, if he did, but I don't know. I think he's a really good player, man. I think he's a really good player. I'd be kind of surprised if he fell to 13, man. And shoot, if he fell to 13, I mean, I will say, like, I'm not targeting wide receiver in the 1st round, but you never know, man. If any of you guys are pro Aiden O'Connell, if you guys think Aiden O'Connell is the guy, the franchise guy, hey man, that may be something you look at, just because he's that good of a player in my opinion. But wide receiver is definitely not a need for us in that sense, and there's definitely other needs we should addressed, but that's definitely a situation where a good player like that, there may be a team that needs a wide receiver, and they're gonna give us a call, man, and we'll more than likely be able to strike up a trade. We can trade back, get more draft capital, and then either you can just get more players, or you can use that draft capital to to move up and down the board as the draft unfolds. But yeah. Really, when it comes to wide receiver, I think wide receiver we should probably address it, but in the later rounds, man, maybe 6, 7, UDFAs. Really, the one thing I'm just looking at is I think ideally if we could add speed at the wide receiver position, that wouldn't be bad. And also we need ideally I would like us to improve on kick returner and a punt returner, especially too since this year with the NFL rule changes. We could start seeing a lot more returns, a lot of big plays off of that as well. So, and if we do, I definitely want the Raiders to be one of those teams where we can take advantage of that. But, let me know what you guys think of the new kickoff rules. I mean, you think that's gonna, bring in a lot more big plays in that sense? It's naturally I would think it would, but at the same time, like if there's a team that's been doing really good in that sense, they've been getting kickoff returns. I mean, I think a lot of NFL teams are just gonna say, you know what, let's kick it out the end zone. We'll take the touchback, and the only difference is now before the opposing offense would get at the 25-yard line. Now they're gonna get at the 35-yard line. But hey, that's way better than giving up a big play. And potentially giving up a touchdown. But yeah, man, I mean, I think that's going to be an interesting new element to the game. Let me know what you guys think of the new rule change on the kickoffs. Do you think it's going to be good for the game? Like I said, do you think we should maybe address the special teams department in that sense? Let me know what you guys think. Howard would be great for a price. Okay. I assume you're talking about Xavier Howard. I mean, I don't know, man. It's I mean, he's very talented, but I don't know, man. I don't know if he would maybe fit when it comes to his attitude and like the locker room standpoint. But hey, man, if we made that move, I will say I trust Antonio Pierce to make judgment calls like that. It worked out with him with Jack Jones. I mean, everybody said Jack Jones. At least, Patriots fans and, the Patriots led it to believe that, Jack Jones had some off-field issues and he wasn't a good fit, from a personality standpoint. But hey, he just reunited with Antonio Pierce and he really took off, man. So, like I said, when it comes to that sense, I trust AP. Like he said himself. I mean, he said he's the guardian of the gate. He's not gonna let any evil inside this building. So, I'll trust him in that sense. But ultimately, I don't think that move's gonna end up happening for us. I think we would have already made it. But yeah. Raider Nation Drew says, I would like us to extend some players like Spillane. Yeah, I mean, that would not be a bad idea. I mean, because I think we only signed him to like a 2-year contract, and it looks like he's gonna pan out. I mean, try to extend him if you can extend him, man, because he's the best linebacker we've had in arguably like 10-15 years. So I really like what I saw from Spillane. There's also other players you could look into trying to extend. Ideally, Malcolm Koonce. I mean, he had a fantastic year last season. Ideally, if you can extend him early, that way, because if he has another good season, if he has a breakout season this year, there may be a chance he's not gonna come back to the silver and black, because he's gonna more than likely demand top dollar as a defensive end, man. That's a premium position, man, and basically if the Raiders are gonna want to bring him back in that scenario, they're gonna have to pay up big time. So if you can extend Malcolm Koonce, you do it. But at the same time, I mean, he also he also might be willing to bet on himself. He might say, I think I'm gonna have another breakout year, and like I said, that's gonna lead to a big payday for him. So yeah, but yeah, I would definitely like to extend Robert Spillane. Hey, salute to Dominique 5, loyal day one subscriber as well. Hey, salute to you, man. Thank you for pulling up. But Raider Nation, I just definitely want to jump on here for, wanting to talk about the NFL draft, just my thoughts and opinions on it, what we should do moving forward for that. Ideally, I wanted to, I won't be able to do that this live. I wanted to get like a mock draft going with you guys, but I don't have a second monitor here, so like, I don't have a way to, share the screen to show you the mock draft and then be able to interact with you guys in the chat, which I definitely want to do. That's what makes it fun and interesting. But definitely stay tuned. I mean, for future lives moving forward, I definitely want to get more active here in the next few weeks with the draft right around the corner. Man, it's going to be a fun, exciting time. I'm definitely going to want to chop it up with you guys about who we end up selecting. And then maybe break down some tape stuff of that nature. So yeah, man, for anybody that's new to the channel as well, like I said, make sure to subscribe, make sure to hit the bell notification. That way you guys know every time I go live like this or every time I post a video. And like I said, we should be pretty active here in the next few weeks. It's been really slow on the Raiders front the last few weeks, which I haven't liked, but it should start picking up here soon. Draft is right around the corner. Super excited about that. But with that being said, Raider Nation, we're gonna end this live stream here. Like I said, anybody that's new, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one, though. Thanks.